Thank you so much, General Khandare sir, for this brief introduction. I don't know whether I deserve that so much, but I definitely am very, very privileged today to be sharing the stage with eminent military personalities in form of General Khandare, General Upadhyay, Lieutenant General A.K. Singh sitting in front of me, who's the National Security Advisory Board. I don't think there's a bigger day for me than this, at least this year. So, having been given this opportunity and having also fought Kargil War, there are a few lessons that I got from Kargil War which I want to quote for the people who are here. One thing I learned from Kargil War is try to look unimportant. The enemy may be low on ammunition and not want to waste a bullet on you. It also says never share a bunker with someone braver than you, because his bravery will make sure that you also get hit. But that's the lighter one, don't take it seriously. The fact remains that none of these matter anymore. The kind of technology that is coming in, you can apply all this, but you will still be scouted and targeted. Having said that, well, technology is here to transform the way we are going to fight. And I think Sindoor has taught India that we should have learned bigger lessons from Ukraine. Sindoor, we did perform exceedingly well. I think the whole nation is proud of it. But the fact remains that we learned some very raw lessons from Sindoor, that while we did perform with weapon systems, especially drones, which Indo acquired, but we could not acquire the technology. And I share the sentiment with General Upadhyay when he says that on the technology sovereignty, on the technology resilience, on the technology self-reliance, we have a lot of catching up to do. So that's what I'm trying to cover today. And where do we stand on drone technology, where the world is moving and where we stand. But before I do that, can I know how many are you here from the drone industry? Please raise your hands, just for me to get an idea. All right, good. And how many of you are actually into R&D of drone technology? Anyone? 1, 2. So rest of it I see you are from the assembly or from the manufacturing side. So I'm going to more dwell on the evolutionary technologies from the R&D perspective. I'm also going to talk about a survey that I did amongst the drone companies in India, where 45 companies responded, and what is the outcome of the survey. And I'll finally say what I suggest is the way forward to the questions that was left behind by General Upadhyay very, very aptly. Now let's take a technology overview of what's happening in the drone industry or in the drone technology spectrum. So you have edge intelligence, which is going to transform the way the drones will operate on real-time mode at the point of impact. You have GPS-denied navigation that will talk about the quantum resilience communications, swarm coordination. It's too much of agentic AI. And of course, advanced sensors which will transform the way we will do ISR from going on from here. So what is autonomous AI and edge computing? Anyone here from the AI world? Wonderful. Please help me if I go wrong. I'm sure you'll be able to throw some more light on it. Now, what happens when you have an edge computing coupled with agentic AI? You transform the way this drone responds to you. That means a drone which simply earlier was giving you data collection and leaving it to you to do what to do. Now you're going to have a drone which will just not only just sense, but after sensing, analyze it, after analyzing, predict it, and then take decision and then act on it. That's the full autonomy. Now to achieve this, you require edge computing. And do we have edge computing in India? The answer lies in what General Upadhyay says. NVIDIA has it, Qualcomm has it. Where are we? We are nowhere. We have got a way to go. So what does this do? It does target management, it does complex route navigation and real-time decision making. And therefore you'll have accelerated kill chains, much faster achieving kills than you think of. The manpower efficiency will go up hugely. And scalable of autonomy is unimaginable. But India has a long way to go. GPS-denied navigation, precision timings. Well, there are different types of navigation systems coming up. Some are on the lab table yet. Many of them are on a prototype model, but some of them have actually come on. So when we do all this, visual odometry, this is something people have kind of mastered, and it is very much there where you are comparing the visual camera to what is there in the map and going on. Then you have something called as relative terrain navigation. That means the terrain that is there, you are comparing it, that terrain, the terrain mapping that has been done, and that again is compared to the terrain that is available on your the map, and you go on. Celestial star tracking, this is something which is very interesting. No, when I had the opportunity to, do you have a column mic or something, friends? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, So way back in 1989, I had the opportunity to sail around the world in a small boat, and it did not even have a GPS, by the way. We sailed like the days of yore, like Columbus, and all we had was a sextant. And don't go by the word sextant; it's not as sexy as you think it is. Sextant is an instrument which is nothing but a compass, but a very complex compass where you navigate using celestial stars. So you identify where these stars are coming up on the horizon, you pick up those stars which are 20 degrees from the horizon, and you use a simple sextant to take the azimuth of the star and thereafter plot it on a marine chart. It's a very humongous exercise on a shaking boat to finally, and then you plot your position, which could be as close as 5 kilometers on the sea. Now imagine using this analog methodology which Columbus used to put the entire AI algorithm together to convert this using the star sensors to capture these stars and converting it. You can actually do without something called as satellite navigation altogether. So when you combine these 3-4 types, you're going to have new types of navigation system which could even work in the GPS. Or I don't think we should start use the word GPS, because GPS, unfortunately, all of us have been starting using. GPS is an American system. We should only start using satellite navigation or GNSS at the least. Quantum resilience communication. Well, the second most vulnerable part of a drone after the navigation system is the communication system. Today we are on a 2.4 gigabyte or 5.8 gigabyte bands, but these are so open-ended that they are easily interferable. How do you achieve something different? You can use SDRs, you can use optical system as what General Upadhyay said, laser beam communication system, or satellite communication system, or satellite navigation, sat-nav-based communication system. So all these are going to help us overcome the problem of interference in the communication, which today for India is the biggest threat. Quantum navigation, pre-enabled, we just spoke of. So how do you achieve quantum navigation? That is basically navigation about position, the navigation part, and the timing. That is where your relative position is, how do you navigate from there, and at what atomic clock you use, how precise that is on you. So one of the ways, the other way, apart from the 3 methods I spoke of, the quantum navigation, what does it do? It does the scalar movement of atoms. So you are going at atomic level, electronic level. So if your IMU is able to read the scalar movement of atoms and the accelerometer is able to read it, you are able to actually precisely go to atomic levels of precision. And if you have an initial point which has an accuracy of, let's say, less than half a centimeter or millimeter, if you start from there and you apply quantum mechanics to it and move it, so all your differential measurements at every point in time is done by the relative movement of the scalar movement of the atomic quantums that you have. And therefore, you're totally free from where you are, and your movement still remains precise, and your system of initial navigation, which has an error of almost 3 to 4 kilometers at the end of the day because of the aggregation of errors that happens as you build over time due to drift, that is overcome. So while this quantum is still on a lab table, but it seems that it is going to be very much effective. So if you see this diagram, what it talks of is also magnetic navigation. What is magnav? Magnetic navigation is about Earth having differential magnetic points all over because of the magnetic, let's say call it them anomalies. So the world is getting mapped, like the Google has mapped this world with the contour mapping, the world is getting mapped with magnetic anomaly mapping. The magnetic anomaly mapping is so precise that a passive navigation device can read this magnetic anomaly and move by itself by going from as their waypoints or as their so-called, let's say, reference points. And this magnetic anomaly helps you to navigate from a start point to the end point without a third-party interference or without any transmission happening. It is entirely passive. So if you combine these 3-4 types of different, new age navigation systems coming in, I think there are going to be answers to GNSS being denied, operating GNSS denied appointment. Now, all this is going to lead to what? It's going to lead to intelligence. And intelligence which operates in GNSS denied environment and EW contested environment, which will help us further to achieve swarm technology. Now, swarm technology is something which is going to use the most important, the edge AI and as well as the agentic AI to manage differential movement of swarms. So one is to have a movement of a swarm which is single targeted, but differential targeted, different decision making, different sensors, and operating differently, but under a centrally controlled system, which is also based on the AGI of the mother swarm. So without a main computer system or the server handling it, everything is happening right there. So how does that work? It works because you are able to do edge computing. Now, there are various examples of this. I'm going a little fast because I think the time is short. What I want to ultimately come to is that, all these technologies, how it's going to help us overcome the electronic differences and all. So, I'm sorry. We have to, yeah. Okay. So, somebody is going ahead, no? All right. So, we were here at the magnetic stack. I just explained this to you. Now, let's look at so sensors. Now that's the another kind of multi-phenomenology sensors, which means that you have a multispectral camera, you have an IR camera, you have the SWIR, you have the MWIR, you have the optical, all types of sensors. You have the RF sensors, everything embedded on the same system and an edge computing system, picking up information from all this, creating the big data out of it, analyzing it, and delivering you information. Now that is what is going to be advanced sensors rather than single payloads that we work on. But these are all evolutions which is on the way. These are all examples of that. Now material. There are materials coming in which will change drones will operate, especially helping the drones to achieve stealth technology. Now we can have a metamaterial which has absorbing skins which will prevent any kind of radar signature from being reflected back. You also achieve suppression of and camouflage. So the camouflage that you achieve using a certain type of emissions, the material reflected emissions, that it will camouflage the drone itself as something else, as a bird or something like that. And of course you have an airframe which is so designed that it becomes minimally observable. So this all enhances survivability, and of course it allows you to achieve swarm capability which is almost undetectable. Now let's take a look at one of these materials. What is this? This is nothing but a piezoelectric motor. So we are all using BLDC motor for drones of different sizes. The smallest BLDC motor that I've come across so far in India is about 4.5 or 5 centimeters. But the world is already gone to 2 centimeter size BLDC motors. But if you use piezoelectric motors, this can go to size less than half a centimeter. Imagine what it will do. It will generate the sympathetic vibrations which can allow you to fly like insects. And that is going to lead us to another type of systems which will create what is called as nano and even lesser than nano sized drones. Energy systems. You have hydrogen fuel cells coming up. I'm already, the company that I give advice to military technology is a company called as Amber Wings and E-Plane. We are already working with a company to use hydrogen fuel cells to drive our drones so that we can achieve much longer ranges and much higher endurances. So this is very much on the cards already. Solid state batteries are coming up. Micro turbine propulsion. So whether it is your the jet propulsion I'm talking about, using micro turbines, this is the new thing coming up. And of course, battery beaming. That means from remote, from aircraft, from a long distance, you can beam your laser and charge batteries. So all these are new technologies coming up which will obviously lead to higher endurance, higher range, higher survivability, and of course, the ability for drones to remain in the sky for much, much longer. Now, these are some examples of drones which are coming up with this kind of technologies. Then, of course, interoperability, as I said, primarily the two driving forces will be the edge computing and the agentic AI, which will enhance the interoperability and the command control communication network. I'm going to show you some interesting examples. Can you click on one of those, any of those you like? Now look at this. These are birds. And biomimicking is the form that is coming up. You're going to have birds. You will not know that a bird has entered your domain and has come inside. It will not actually be a pigeon. It will be a drone which is coming and nestling in your house. This is coming. This is not too far. Go next. Go to one more. Another simple example. This is a live example of a Chinese soldier throwing a bird looking like drone. See the biomimicking. See the similarity between how a swallow flies and how this flies. Go next. Is the volume available? Yeah. Now that's another kind of an insect drone. So you have mosquito drones, you have butterfly drones. All this is happening because of the evolutionary technology that the world is coming up with. Okay, next. Right inside your warehouses where you are developing your technology, you will have insects and birds coming and sitting without you realizing that your technology is being eavesdropped. Next. Yeah, thank you. So how eventually these evolutionary technologies are going to impact warfare? That's the final question which I'm trying to address. So as I said, the Edge AI for real-time will give you real-time onboard decision-making without cloud dependency, and it will impact the battlefield where you will be able to instantly respond to threats and navigate contested electromagnetic environment. The agentic AI will give you goal-driven, autonomous agents that plan, adapt, and coordinate with human micromanagement. And the battlefield impact will be drone swarms, which are as intelligent, self-organizing strike formations, overwhelming adversary defenses with adaptive maneuvers. Quantum navigation precision, I already spoke about. Unhackable quantum communication, something which will give you much higher resilience. New generation materials we spoke of. Subsurface autonomy, which General Upadhyay was mentioning. This is, I'm dealing with two companies which are developing this. One is called as Planis, located in Chennai. The other is a company in Cochin called as iRove. They have developed some tremendous underwater drone capabilities, unimaginable. By the way, they are supplying to foreign countries. So I'm sure the Indian Navy is also buying from them. We spoke of 3D printed jet engine. I think India should be proud that the first 3D printed single modular 3D printed engine has been created by an organization called as Agnikul, which is based in IIT Research Park, where my company is also based. They have got the world's first IPR for a 3D printed rocket engine. I think India should be proud of. Let's give them a big hand for this two young boys who have created this kind of technology. So India is not, I don't say India is there, but it's not India sleeping. I'm going to talk about why I'm saying India is not sleeping and why I'm optimistic about what India is doing. Now, therefore, I'll sum up my evolutionary technology by saying that by 2035, the AI autonomy, quantum resilience, advanced propulsion systems and materials are going to be decisive elements in the battle space. The war doctrines, military strategy, operational plans, and the TBA, all this will be governed by how well we are positioning our drone technology. And the winner will be someone who's intelligent, resilient, rapidly adaptable, and having that drone ecosystem. So where does India stand here? Little look at what, okay. So where does India stand? Now India stands, I've given you different breakdown of drone technologies. I've tried to categorize them, though there are much more. And I've put across for you, you can take a quick snapshot of that. I'm not going to go into detail. You're welcome to come and interact with me on this. We can engage, and especially those from the drone industry. And the indigenization process which General Upadhyay spoke of, where do we stand? So I've done a detailed survey of the industry. We have picked up a lot of stuff. So on airframe, we have achieved over 70 to 85%. This is one of the highest, and India is very good in developing the best of airframes, by the way. Propulsion systems, while there are a good number of companies making BLDC motors, but we are still dependent on the magnets and other things for the BLDC motor. The avionics and flights, we are not so well off, but there are 10 companies today working on flight controllers as well as companion computers. I'll talk about them. C2 Link, there are only 3 companies in the country. Sensors, payloads, we don't have this sensor, but there are companies like Digico Technologies, which is developing its own sensor stack, which is supplying to US in a big way. It has orders of hundreds of crores. It's time India started utilizing them. In power systems, we are not so badly off. Very soon, I think we're going to have indigenous power systems, not too far. Ground control stations, we are about 70%. Logistics and other support systems, of course, will. So what do we need to do? Is achieving indigenization enough? No. We need to plan for technology sovereignty, not just self-reliance, not just resilience, not just indigenization. Unless we talk of tech sovereignty today, you will not even achieve indigenization tomorrow. How do we do this? That's the solution I want to talk about. This is what is, I've created a framework called as a VCS framework. It stands for vulnerability, criticality, and sensitivity. What is vulnerability? Let's talk of the core electronics of a drone. And let's talk of the BLDC motors and the propulsion system or the power system, and of course the airframe. So in this simple example, if this VCS framework is what is more vulnerable to enemy action in terms of electronic warfare, what gets impacted, what is critical in terms of availability of supply chain, what General Upadhyaya spoke of, and what is sensitive to data losses and data manipulation. So if you put these three framework and divide all the electronics parts in these framework and give them weightages, and thereafter you decide who is the best indigenized content in the drone industry or in whatever you are procuring, you will be much better off than what you are today. Today, L1, when we talk of, they say it's by value, but sometimes it's by volume, sometimes by weight. I don't know what kind of parameters they take. And it has meaningless, absolutely, because it can be so easily manipulated, this entire L1 thing. I've studied this in great detail. I had the opportunity to share some of my thoughts with General A.K. Singh, who has fortunately agreed to include it in the DAP manual that Sir has been working on. So in the VCS framework, if you go by, imagine now you're coming up with a drone. We are not going to ask you by anymore what is the value of your drone's components. We're going to check on this VCS framework as to the components which fall under VC S3CT category, if that has got a 50% weightage, whereas V2 C2 S1 category which has got 20% weightage, and the V1 S1 C1 category which is only 10% weightage, and then you create what is called as QCBS model. We will ensure that we get what we need, and yet we are at the highest front line of indigenization. Because as General Upadhyaya said, we can't be fully indigenized yet. So we still need, but how do we encourage our industry to become indigenized? By giving them an option to say, listen, if your indigenization content in this framework is higher, you have a higher chance of getting in, not because you're L1 or not because you're somebody bigger in size and you're smaller in size. So that's the way I suppose India needs to promote indigenization, which will prioritize procurement, strengthen security architecture, and of course help us get reliable supply chain. So when I did a survey, the questions I asked was, are you into R&D or manufacturing or system integration or assembly? So I got 19 companies which are in R&D, which is a very good sign. 12 indigenous manufacturing, 7 are in both, 2 focus on integration, 1 pure on assembly. So all the drone companies are only assembling. They didn't take part in my survey. That's the most interesting part, which is very enthusing for me. Now, I also asked them, what is your primary content? So they gave me answers like flight controllers, BLDC motors, battery, all the things that require goes into making a drone. I'm not going to go into that. Then I asked them a question on the scale of 10. Where do they, or let's say, what is the level of indigenization, whether they are working on the IC chips or modules or components, systems, subsystems or materials. So I got different answers for that, very encouraging answers. Then what is the indigenization content? I asked them to score themselves. As truthfully scoring on 10, how do they score? So many of them are scoring themselves 10 out of 10 and some of them are at 4, but they've been very truthful as I see. Then on the TRL levels, this is extremely important. Now this is something I want to talk about, because today when we talk of indigenization, nobody uses the word TRL anywhere. Especially those who are now coming with deep tech funds and patient capital who want to invest in this company, I'm sure there are some investors sitting here too. When you want to invest in a company which is developing technology, don't ask him what is your revenue after 2 years. Please, I don't think that's the right question to ask that company. The question you have to ask him is, what TRL are you today? And 1 year from now, which TRL will you reach? Can you achieve that? If he says yes, if he achieves, give him his next this thing. If the so-called patient capital that India is creating, which is coming up in a big way, if they go into this model, you will find the industry delivering. But if you go on the revenue sharing model or the DCS model or the revenue so-called projection models, our R&D industry or our startups who are deeply working on this will remain subservient to the so-called big players. So I had very good responses on TRL levels of manufacturing, on TRL levels of R&D, and industry. When I asked them that would you like to collaborate together to create India's first indigenous drone, can you imagine? I had 97% of them saying yes, they will want to collaborate and do work. Is there a collaborative framework available? That's exactly what I'm trying. That while in Op Sindoor, as you said, we succeeded with very good weapon systems, unfortunately, we don't own them. So there are large number of strategic bottlenecks. I'm not going to go into that. I think General Upadhyaya has already covered that, so I'm going to leave all this. He's covered most of them. A lot of technology bottlenecks are there, which we can refer to. So let me just take you to that slide. So that's the BCS framework I'm talking of.
You can wind up now.
Yeah, I've just finished. I'm closing in, sir. So I'm just closing in here by saying that I'm trying to create an organization called as FIDAR. FIDAR stands for Federation for Indigenization of Drones, Autonomous Platforms, and Robots, because these three are interchangeable technologies. This federation is going to focus only on indigenization at all three levels: R&D level, manufacturing level, and RFP level. I have got already 45 companies which have expressed their interest to join. Anyone from here, whether you are from drone industry or associate industry, wanting to join this organization is welcome to do so. We are going to launch this organization very soon, and this organization is going to help all companies committed to indigenization to both receive funds from the right quarters as also help you reach the right quarters in displaying your technology. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I took a little extra time.